We're going to move on, Keith, as you used to do with your eyes, from Goodison Park over to Anfield and talk about Liverpool. Now, they're set to swap Nike for Adidas, actually, in a new supply kit deal from the 25-26 season. What do you make of that news?
Well, I think Adidas have been with Liverpool twice before, from memory. And I think the way the kit market works from a club point of view is that you tend to try and pick the one that is wounded at the moment and then because they need to get back into the marketplace, if you like. Adidas has had some big issues recently with the Kanye West Yeezys sort of scandal that went on. That took them a few years to untangle that mess, and they had a huge stock of Yeezys, and that sort of gave them a problem. They also just lost the German Federation, the DFB, as one of their major clients, which for a company like Adidas with a proud German heritage would have been a bit of a blow for them, certainly. So they had to do something big to make a mark. And certainly Liverpool seems to fit that situation, that they're going to have to make a big statement. Now, the good news for Liverpool, I think, is that they've been looking at numbers for their kit recently of something like 25 million with New Balance, probably maybe 30 to 35 with Nike. And now we're looking at, I think, somewhere between 50 with bonuses that could go up to something like 75, 80. And I think that brings them back into where they are. They've got a great global audience. And they're doing very well with that sort of situation. The club perform well, we know, with Jurgen Klopp, etc. So, they are a marquee brand as such, and so they're worthy of that number. But I think getting that number has been more about the position Adidas have found themselves in rather than any great merit that Liverpool has got. And I think the two have matched very well.
And we know as well, Keith, of course, Newcastle and Villa are going to be with them for next season too. And as you mentioned about the German national team, do you think that Adidas now might be targeting the Premier League? Is that maybe a strategy they're going to go for, given that they've also, of course, got Arsenal and Manchester United in there as well?
Yeah, I think it's Arsenal. I think Fulham as well are another one that are with Adidas as well. So, yes, I think there is a period of time they will look at teams. Although, with my time at Villa, we had Under Armour, who were a sort of a challenger brand coming through, and they decided to stop all teams after a couple of seasons and then just go for personalities like Anthony Joshua, etc. So that's another strategy that sometimes these kit suppliers and brand makers can try and follow. It does seem Adidas is going that way. The Premier League obviously is still the most watched league, and so it's going to be important, particularly the North American market. I think is going to be important for them as well, and so Adidas is certainly going to be more aggressive. I think there is some new management within Adidas that is trying to lead a way forward. So yes, I mean the Premier League, as we know, is a big game in town. So I think they're going to carry on that strategy for a little while. But also, if they can tie it in with individual player deals, I believe Trent Arnold has got a boot deal as well. So if the two things can be put together with the individuals and the teams, it becomes a very powerful marketing strategy. Look, there's a lot of money at stake these days in personal images and for the whole brand and for the players, and it's a risky game because you can hire a brand ambassador and then the next minute they're injured. It's a difficult thing, but certainly I think teams are probably safer for them rather than individuals. But nevertheless, the two together can combine to be a very potent situation, and they've got to get their bang for the buck.
I mean, they're definitely set to receive more payout under Adidas than Nike. But the question, Keith, would be, they're definitely not going to hit the record, we think, of Manchester United, which is that £90 million mark. Will that be disappointing for the execs at Liverpool, knowing that, you're not going to be close to a rival necessarily? Or actually, will that simply not be in the frame at all when this conversation would have happened?
No, I think they're going to be targeting Man United in every area in terms of revenue. There's no doubt. I mean, certainly you're a competitor and you want to try and at least match or beat your competitor if possible. And I think this deal that Liverpool have got has certainly kept them right on the heels of Man United. I don't know what the bonuses will be. Possibly with the bonuses, they could well reach that sort of level with Man United. I just don't know. And I think we've got to look also at the interesting area of digital rights with those kit deals as well, and Adidas. I mean, if you're seeing that brand throughout all the different computer games and different areas you're playing as well, that's got a big value as well these days. So I don't know, as I say, I don't know the details of the contract, but I would think that Liverpool have been pretty creative, and I would think that they will have got some decent bonus structures in there, and they're going to be keeping right on the heels of Man United. Now it's up to United to try and go one step further.
Are you surprised at all, Keith, given the sort of the LeBron James connection with Liverpool, and of course that sort of they had a deal with Nike, you know, they made a shirt together. Is there a surprise that actually they've gone with a rival, you know, or do you think actually Adidas would have targeted the club from a while ago when they may have missed out on them on the previous journey? We know, of course, of the whole legal issue with New Balance and Nike and that whole process they went through.
Yeah, I think it is just a case of, okay, who's hungriest in the market at the time? And there's no doubt Adidas will have been looking to try and re-establish some big marks. And they, you know, you can lose Germany, which is obviously a big one for them. But nevertheless, if they can replace it with something that's seen week to week rather than just at internationals, then that may be a stronger play for them. It's just their own heritage. Obviously, being German at that stage was a key one. But hey, things change, things move on. And I'm sure Adidas are going to be a big player in the market and going to be very aggressive. And it's always good to see these brands finding it out. And it is an interesting playing market. I'd maybe get involved in it someday myself.
There we go. Maybe that's the next plan. But to wrap up, Keith, as well, I mean, Liverpool fans haven't necessarily been thrilled by kits from Nike. Often people will say that they are very template. They're often the same. Can better things be expected by Adidas? And actually, could we see some quite creative collabs in the same way that Manchester United and Adidas had the Stone Roses feature?
Look, those things I really applaud. I love creative things. And then the other side around it, though, is, of course, you have to look at the Castori situation, which happened with Aston Villa, with the actual, you know, the kit being so heavy and so wet. So there are some basic things you've got to do right first. And then I think you can get clever with the branding and the ideas. I think there is room for the one-offs. I think there should be a lot more of that. And I think there should be something that can be done. I mean, I know Everton just released a certain Seamus Coleman green kit for St. Patrick's Day. They also did a charity pink kit a long time ago that was sold out immediately. There is room for creativity, and I really welcome it more and more, because I think the days of especially the young kids in the game now, the fans, just wearing a shirt because it's got the club's logo on, they want something a little bit extra and a little bit different. And I think that's where they've got to go with things, as you say, whether it be the Stone Roses idea, whether it's music, film, computer games. There's lots of ways they can go, but they've got to be creative tie-ins, and they've got to really start thinking outside the box in this area and not just make it the same old shirt every year.